Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever fan of AEW podcast. We'll call it that for now because we don't have a name. I'm Blasco, and my co-host is Rick.
Say hi. Hey, how's it going?
So,
this is maybe the least professional thing anyone has ever done.
Trust me, and I've been involved in a lot of unprofessional stuff. This is probably right up there. We just got done watching I don't even know the day. What's today's date?
May 6th.
The May 6th edition of AEW Rampage. That's the one thing I didn't write down. So I made a note for dates.
There you go.
I thought it was a solid show, to be perfectly honest. I wrote down, I gave it a 7 out of 10.
It was, I mean, we talked about it earlier. No one's going to watch this show because it aired at like 5:30.
Yeah, it was so
and
weird.
like 2:30 in the West Coast, so I can see why it was not the most action-packed episode of it. But like, it was good. It was entertaining. Yeah. I liked it.
Oh yeah, it definitely served its purpose. Like the people that were gonna turn that on before the hockey game, they got maybe a new viewer here or there, so that was cool.
And it figures that the one episode where they put 2 women's matches, which everyone's been complaining about, is the episode that aired at 5:30.
I never even thought of that. And they were both bangers too.
Yeah, they were good. They were good matches.
Well, we'll get right in with that then. We have Britt Baker, Pittsburgh's own, there you go, and Jamie Hayter with Rebel versus Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. They went 10 minutes, which for Rampage is rare, an opening match going that long, unless it's a special match. So they gave them time, and it was a clean win. I did not expect that at all.
No. It was good. Like Britt Baker's rarely involved in anything that has a clean ending. Exactly. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and Storm pinned Britt, which was kind of big, I think.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna have a thing.
Definitely. There has been some talk that I read that they might want to put the Stardom belt on Britt if they can come to terms with that.
That'd be interesting. Because she probably has to stay away from the AEW title. So
yeah, so if that's true, like I was internet reading, if that would be true, that would give her a good thing to get into if she doesn't win the Owen. Right, she is in the Owen too.
I guess we can skip ahead a little bit. The only reason I don't think she's going to win the Owen is because she's against the Joker.
Well, there you go.
I know I skipped ahead out of our Rampage recap into the Owen tournament, but yeah.
Oh, I had that on the list anyway. I was on the list, so we'll skip down to there right now. I was thinking if the Gargano rumors are true, and they somehow scored Gargano and is it Candice LeRae?
Yeah.
If they scored both of them, how ridiculous would it be if 2 couples were in the final?
Yeah, that would be really cool.
I
don't know if it'll end up happening, but it would be really cool.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that 2 real life couples, and the Harts, we all know about family, and
right.
I don't know. I thought that would be a really cool thing. If she's the Joker, we don't know. We just know that her contract ran out. Was that yesterday?
It was reported yesterday. I don't know if it actually ran out yesterday or not, but it was reported yesterday.
Okay, so hey, it's an option possibly. Are there any women that are hurt? I was trying to think of that during the show. Layla Hirsch is, but I don't think they'd make Layla. No offense.
Yeah, because the Joker's for both the men's and the women's, the Joker would have to be either someone new or someone who's been away for a while.
For a while, right?
So, because otherwise, why would you not just put them in a regular match?
Exactly. So that's going to be very interesting, which brings us to, if we're going to go in order of the show, as soon as that match ends, which I thought was so dumb but hilarious, the phone call.
Yes.
Like everybody and their mother knows that this show isn't live.
Yeah.
And then you hear Eddie's going, "Go ahead, keep smiling." Like, what did they pipe the live feed into his
He's
house?
watching them. Yeah.
Like, it was a great promo though.
Yeah.
Eddie.
What I actually really liked
like,
is Jericho's reaction. He started off just kind of laughing,
yes,
and then by the end he seemed really serious. I liked it. It
Yes.
was a good reaction to it.
it was a fantastic reaction. And the one thing, like, Eddie broke his own rule. He made it like legit personal. Like, he doesn't like
Right.
to talk about his personal life. Well, we know that Eddie's married now. I didn't know that Eddie had a wife, so
Yeah, I had no idea.
I thought that was super cool.
It was really good. It was a good. I mean, Eddie's always a good promo, but it was
100%.
I mean,
100%.
it immediately makes this feud better, in my opinion.
Yes, which Jericho needed. The past few feuds have been not duds with Jericho, but it hasn't been one-on-one. This
I
seems
honestly
very
can't remember
one-on-one.
his previous feuds were. I mean, and that's not a good thing because I feel like I should. I remember the MJF feud, and then I don't remember anything for a while.
Yeah, didn't he?
To your point, he needs something.
Yes, very true. He needs something, and he needs it like one-on-one. I mean,
Right.
that's the reason they got rid of the inner circle, because it always just seemed to be a group. One-on-one, give me Jericho wrestle anybody any day. I mean, he could wrestle me and make it look good. So, I mean, him and Kingston, they're going to beat the hell out of each other. It's going to be great.
It'll be good.
And then I was surprised. We had back-to-back promos. At least in the United States, we went to commercial after this. Did you? I know you watched.
Yeah, there was commercial after that. Yeah.
Okay. We had the Tony Nese with Smart Mark Sterling, who I think is the most underrated manager in the game, and he's a great wrestler. I thought they were going to, my personal opinion, I thought they were going to challenge Hookhausen. Really,
I like the little swerve they put in there. If I'm going to be your
Yes.
first, I'm going to give you your first loss, and then it's
Yes.
Danhausen and not Hook.
Yeah, I literally was so happy that I'm going to get to see Danhausen wrestle. He's so good, and it could be the most intense match. He still finds a way to make it funny.
Yeah.
You'll like. There's a famous match that's online. I'll send it to you after this. He wrestles a guy in a bar with no ring, and the guy's like 7 feet tall, and he wrestles him from the standing on the bar, so he can like lock up with him. And it's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah, the only thing I've ever seen of Danhausen is like clips on the internet. I've never seen him actually wrestle a match, so that'll be interesting.
Yes, he's believe it or not, very good, and still hilarious somehow.
And very evil.
And very evil, very hilarious, very evil. And then that moved us right into the awesome Hook match.
Yes.
Typical Hook match, 90 seconds. JD Drake, give that dude so much credit.
I've only seen him a couple times. I actually really like him.
Oh, he's amazing. He didn't cut his teeth. I mean, he's a vet. Sorry again, JD Drake. He did a lot of early Dark and Elevation during like the pandemic.
Right.
And like that's when they had the wingmen and all that. And they were putting him in there with people that were like, you could tell they were looking for like local people, that they were taking just about anybody, so they didn't have the same 30 people. He made some people look really good that probably had no business being on, I know it's a YouTube show, but on anything that was recorded. Like, these people were green, and he made them look great.
Yeah.
The way that Hook got into the Red Rum, I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
It looked like he was going to get his first offensive move put on him by an opponent, and no, he turned it right into the Red Rum, taps out JD Drake, and then the almighty Danhausen comes down. And when the chips fell out of his pocket, I don't know if that was planned, but the way that he just kind of looked at it and went, "Oh well," and just rolled away and left them there. It was so good.
You have no idea how much I love the fact that Hook's like one emotional connection is through chips.
Yes,
Like the only time he gets upset is when Dan has a mess with his chips. The only time he like got kind of sad was because of the chip. The only emotion he has is related to chips, and it's great.
Yes, and he like was like, man, that was such a cool move for him to bring me chips for my birthday. no, I can't. I'm cool. I got to throw him down. It was so good.
It was great.
It was.
Whenever they do eventually get together, that's going to be amazing.
It is going to be amazing, and like so much credit for Danhausen. He is legit 100% self-made. I mean, I didn't know who he was. I mean, I knew who he was before I knew he was a freaking wrestler.
Right.
Like he would come up on my feed and I just thought it was, I don't know, like an internet personality.
Just some guy, yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was watching like a Ring of Honor clip. I was like, oh my God, there's that guy. What's that guy doing there? Like he's a red. And I started watching his videos and boom, it was amazing. And right after that, very, very weird programming here. I mean, I don't have much experience with television, but I have some. And to do 3 interviews in a row, especially for a wrestling show.
Right, especially for a taped wrestling show.
Yes. Yeah, like because you can put things in any order.
Right.
But then we get the FTR interview. And like, you know, you messaged me earlier and you brought it up with a great point. Dax mentions who Adam Cole's mentor is.
Right.
It is going to be a very interesting match. I really hope they do, not necessarily move for move, but I hope they do a little bit of Brett and Sean.
Yeah, I feel like they have to.
I think they do.
I think it'd be really disappointing if they didn't. I mean, they're not going to do the whole match, obviously, but they for a little bit.
Yeah, like somewhere in the middle, throw in the whenever Michaels gets caught up in the Tree of Woe or
right.
Figure 4 on the pole. Well, I don't know if they could do it with the square poles. That might actually hurt really bad.
Actually, hasn't Serena Deeb been doing that?
Oh yeah, she has. So it must not be that bad.
So it must work.
Yes.
Or she's just mean, one or the other, or both.
One or the other. But before we go, we're going to talk about her. I have a note for her, and
great.
We'll get there. To the next match, which is the only Owen qualifier, which is the last Owen qualifier that we had, which is, I'm going to say this wrong, Yuka Sakazaki versus
Pretty
Riho.
Good.
Thank you. And Riho had what to me looked like tribute gear to the Hearts. It was pink and black. I know they kept trying to make her the heel,
right?
Because she was in dark, but I don't know. She had the pink trunks on underneath. There was some pink laced into her little dress thing. I don't know. I just
whatever the reason, there's something to do with the black because they mentioned it a couple times.
Definitely. Again, another 10-minute match, which was a fantastic match. I said it was match of the night. I had never heard of Yuka Sakazaki. I should have done my homework and looked her up beforehand, but I didn't.
I feel like she must have been on Dynamite or something before because I've heard of her. I don't remember much of her, but I've heard of her.
She might. That's a good point. She might have been there like with Emi Sakura at one time.
Yeah, sometime around like the early Dynamites.
Yes. That's a good call. But I thought it was a solid match. It was very Japanese-based wrestling.
Yep.
A lot of submissions and submission attempts and reversals. They played it pretty much to the best. They played it very well. They did a heck of a job. I mean, they even got the only "This Is Awesome" chant of the night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they knew what they did. It has to be weird for them, though, because they're not used to that instant reaction. Like when you watch Japanese wrestling, they tend to clap at the beginning and the end and let them do their thing in the middle. So, interesting that they're giving, like they're bringing in these other women for, like from outside for the Owen tournament, and they did so for the men. I like it. And I really hope they keep doing it. Like I hope next year when they do the Dynamite Diamond Ring tournament, I hope they bring in some outsiders. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
That's just me. Well, we already talked about Britt and the Joker. Just in your opinion, who do you think the Joker would be?
Like I said, it has to be someone who's been out for a while, who I can't think of anyone who's been out for a while, or someone new.
Right.
And the someone new can either be. I feel like if it was someone from Japan, that may not go over well, just because people don't necessarily know who all of these wrestlers are.
Correct.
And I don't follow Japanese wrestling very much, if at all. So unless there's a big star they could bring from Japan, what was her name? The had like the evil pop star gimmick.
Oh,
Maki Ito.
Maki Ito, because she was actually in a pop group, which I thought was weird.
Right. She's the only one who I feel like people would react to if she showed up.
Yes. And is she signed to New Japan?
I don't know who she signed with.
Oh, okay.
I know she did some work in AEW like last year.
Yes, she did. She did that weird, like, make her body completely stiff and fall directly on the side of her head. It just looks like it hurts.
But other than her, I don't think anyone from Japan would get a huge reaction.
I totally agree with that.
So I feel like it's got to be someone who's been out for a while, which we said we can't think of, or a new wrestler. Yeah, and in that sense, I mean, Ember Moon or Athena is an option.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her already.
You mentioned Candice LeRae. I don't know how quick they'll be coming in because I think she just had a baby.
She did just have a baby, so it's probably not her.
Yeah.
Because that's why Gargano didn't sign. He said it was like kind of a blessing in disguise because his wife had a baby. Like, I want to say, like in 2022. Like, it's
I'm not sure when it was.
Old.
It was recently.
So that's a good call on her. Then we had another weird segment. I'm digging Sean Spears now.
Yeah, I like him now. He's won me over.
Yes, same here. But this one was weird. Has the chair that says Giant Killer on it. That to me seems like it was a tease.
Right.
For something or someone. I just don't see how Spears could call himself the Giant Killer. I mean, I know in professional wrestling you can call yourself anything, even though you've never done it.
Right. Like Jericho suddenly. What was Jericho's? The Wizard.
Oh, he's the Wizard all of a sudden. Yes.
The Wizard.
Yes. So I guess, I don't know, unless they make it, if we find out on Wednesday there's some stipulation, which it's going to be some sort of gauntlet match or something.
Right.
It's not going to be a one-on-one. But, going back, I wanted to mention in the FTR interview, it kind of looks like the Pinnacle's done. Dax mentioned he likes the adulation of the crowd now, and people deserve to see that. So, maybe we're going to see MJF. Maybe there will be a Giant Killer, and it isn't necessarily Sean Spears. Maybe he's someone. So,
do you think when Sean Spears mentioned he called Wardlow, and then was like, "I'm going to call you by your name because I want you to pay attention"? Do you think that was a mistake?
I don't know.
I thought when he said it, he slipped up at accident because they haven't been using his name.
True.
So I thought he slipped up and then covered for it, but that could just be acting.
But the only reason that I would disagree with you is because it's tape, and they could have just said, "All right, cut,
that's
reset,
true.
Let's go again."
That's true.
I don't know though. That's a good point. If it was great acting. I mean, he didn't miss a beat. Then we had another interesting segment. I keep saying that
there's a lot of segments especially for a Rampage. They don't usually have that many. It's usually just like match, and then the show ends.
Right. Well, they probably did it this way, like you said. They knew a lot of people weren't gonna be watching, and then if they could maybe catch someone in one of these interviews, like, oh, who's that guy talking about?
Right.
I should maybe watch Wednesday. But it looks like maybe we're seeing the end of the Men of the Year. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I see. I mean, they definitely at least hinting.
Yes.
And I like it because I like them as a team. Ethan Page shows again and again he doesn't need Lambert to cut promos for him.
That promo that he cut was off the rails good. That was
he can clearly cut his own promos. Yes. So he doesn't need a manager.
Yes.
But I don't know if Scorpio Sky leaving the team also would get rid of Lambert and Page would just go on his own, or I don't know.
Yeah, like that's the weird part, because there's the American Top Team people that just signed, like Paige Van Zandt. I don't know if her husband signed, but I know he's training. From what I've read, I shouldn't say I know. From what I've read, he's training right alongside her. So it's like, I don't know.
They finally addressed the 2 belt situation.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
And we're gonna get rid of one of the belts finally.
Yes, which that needed to happen a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm happy that it's going to happen. Going back, the only reason that I say that the group stays together, maybe Scorpio leaves, is for like mixed tags, so they don't throw Paige Van Zandt into the water by herself. She could work really well. Like Ethan could totally carry her in any action that they would come through. He could carry the team, get her in, do her little thing, get her back out.
Is Sammy legitimately injured?
Yeah, he mentioned on his vlog this week. It was like titled something like, "So I got injured but went to Mexico anyway."
Yeah, because he was on the Mexico pay-per-view, but he didn't do anything.
Yes, and now they're in Brazil. Like he's on vacation now. So
right. So I guess that explains the match is over. Like we're not having the match.
Yeah.
They're just moving on,
which is cool. That gives Paige more time to train and get better. I mean, she looked good a few weeks ago when they came down and she just did the little attack thing at the end.
And I'm not going to turn this into a Cody attack, I promise.
Hey, you're lying.
But having her have a match with Ty Conti is better than having her have a match with Brandy.
Yes, totally.
Ty Conti can carry her to something if she had to.
Yes, that is, you hit the nail on the head. I don't want to start bashing people here either, because they do more than I could ever do.
Exactly.
But you're totally right. That's a great call. I don't think Brandy would be able to. It would have to be mixed. Like it would have to be her and Cody versus Sammy and Ty. So
I guess it depends on how long Sammy's out for, because AEW has seemed to wait to resolve storylines if they have to.
Right. So that's another good point. And it depends on they didn't say, but it was obvious that he had a concussion. I mean, we saw that live on television.
Right.
Which is weird. They let him get on a plane after that. So that to me is weird. Because I don't think you're supposed to fly when you're concussed.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I maybe I made that up. But anyways, Tony seems to take injuries very seriously. And the fact that he let him get on a plane kind of bummed me out a little bit. But maybe he's not as hurt as we thought. But
right.
It's up in the air. We don't know. Then we have another kind of sort of segment, which I thought was super cool because it was unexpected. Jungle Boy beating the hell out of Ricky Stark and then holding up the belt. I wish Starks would have stayed on the stage just so he could held it over him.
Right.
But Stark's literally
Taz yelling at him. Taz yelling at him to put down the belt was pretty good.
That was great. And Ricky literally crawling down the tunnel was priceless. Ricky is good. Mark my words, is going to be like Rock big one day.
Yeah, he's excellent.
Yeah, he's going to be huge. I could see him making movies. I could see him modeling, doing something. He's got it, and he's a good wrestler. Then moves us right into the main event already. We have, I've been practicing this, Konosuke Takeshita.
Very nice.
Takeshita, I said it
right. Takeshita. Yes.
Takeshita, yeah. Versus Lethal, Jay Lethal. 13 minutes, solid match. They have a lot of faith in Takeshita.
I like him. I think he was on Dark or Elevation or something recently, right?
Yeah, at the Pittsburgh show that I was at.
Yeah.
I thought I recognized his name there, and then they showed tonight that he has been on Dark before.
Right, during the early pandemic.
Yeah. Shows. So I was like, I thought that's where, or I thought I recognized him, and that's where it was from. Now we got the only heel cheat of the night. It was a solid Takeshita gets the real win, and then we have Satnam Singh and what's his name? Sanjay Dutt.
Sanjay Dutt.
I have their names wrote down. I wasn't even looking at them. To distract the ref, and you get the low blow, and you get the pin. I thought it was awesome because it was.
I really liked the finish. He went for a roll up and then got kicked off and then bounced back into lethal injection. That was really good. It
was so good. That's what I was just gonna say. That was so good, and you had like it all wasn't clean wins. You had the cheap win of the night. You had the heel win, the cheap win. And then I looked at my watch and I was like, oh, there's still a few minutes left, and you get the best friends, which they desperately needed something. I'm so happy that the best friends are back together.
Yeah, they've kind of been floating. The three of them have kind of been floating around for a bit. So.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Orange Cassidy didn't have his sling on, so his shoulder must be better.
Right.
But when they jumped in the ring and Satnam Singh just annihilates them. And when he was dribbling Trent, I was all in on this dude. If he just does that every match, I will be so happy.
I feel like that's how they should have just debuted him, just like that.
Yeah. Oh, it would have made people wouldn't have known what to do. Well, people didn't know what to do when the lights came back on. There's this giant man standing there. But when Orange goes in and you think he's gonna go in and do something funny, and he just stops. And Joe comes down. That was a very old school Monday Night Raw ending.
Right.
With Austin trying to come down and security grabbing him, and they're in the ring laughing at him, blah blah blah. Like, you can't touch us. Thought that was a great ending. And then we could talk about here. We said we wanted to go 30 minutes. We have a couple minutes left. Do you think that Joe is going to see Johnny Gargano?
I want him to. Again, the only reason I would say no is because of they both wanted to take time off.
Right.
Him, Gargano and Candice. So I think same as I said about the women's bracket. It's unlikely that it's going to be him. I think it's more likely that it's going to be Claudio Cesaro.
Yes.
But I don't. Or Miro, yeah, because he's been gone for a while. He's been out since what, January?
Longer than that.
Longer than that, since the other paper, not the last one, the one before.
Yeah, since he dropped the belt to Sammy, that was his last. Yeah, so geez, he's been out 6-7 months now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So that would be so good just to have his music hit, and him and Joe. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that'd be great. I have a question for you, actually, as someone who's watched much more ROH than I ever have.
Yeah.
The last two shows ended with Ring of Honor champions.
Yes, good call.
Do you think that's? I understand why they're doing it, because ROH doesn't have a TV show right now, and they obviously want to keep them on TV.
Right.
What some I know have an issue with is AEW already has a huge roster, and to end their show with ROH guys when there's AEW people who aren't on TV, is that hurting AEW as a company at the expense of ROH?
I agree and disagree with that, because I agree with it because with what you just said, there are people everybody knows now Stu Grayson wasn't re-signed.
Right.
He wasn't fired. His contract ran out, and as you pointed out, same thing happened to Peter Avalon, and we still see him. So
right.
We could see Stu again possibly. But someone like Stu, they're the ones that are going to pay this price. Yes, Stu is part of a group, but there's only so much room. And Tony, I mean, I don't know what he spent on Ring of Honor, but I know it was a lot, and you don't want your money to go to waste. So,
right, I totally understand them highlighting Ring of Honor, because people who haven't watched it, I mean, you might know Samoa Joe, but you might not know anything else about it.
Right.
So it makes sense to put them on TV and to tell you who they are and to involve them.
And I think once we get this, I don't know if it's going to be a streaming service or just a TV deal for Ring of Honor. I think some people are going to get not necessarily stepped on in AEW, but I think they're going to be overlooked for a minute, and they're probably pretty clear about that. In as far as in the back goes, they seem like a pretty transparent company when it comes
Right.
to things. So
and ROH, I mean, if it becomes a successful extra brand, and a second brand, it gives the people who like a Stu Grayson, like someone who's not necessarily on TV. Maybe they can't get on AEW TV, but they can get an ROH TV.
Exactly, and I think that is what is going to happen. And I'd be curious to see if every contract is just going to be kind of like a pro sports deal, like a two-way deal. Like if you're good, but if you're a rookie, you're not like a rookie, but if you're not as proven, you would just sign like maybe an ROH deal. But if you're somebody like Stu, who's proven, who can work a match by themselves or with other people, whatever, you might have a two-way deal, and then you can go between the two.
Right. Like they did make a point, I think, when Samoa Joe signed to say that he signed with AEW and ROH.
Correct. And I bet you they do that with all champions. I bet you champions are going to be on as much TV as possible.
Right.
Again, just because the exposure. If you have Dax and he's FTR. What's the other FTR guy's name? Dax and
Cash.
I mean, they're on TV every week, and they have the AAA and Ring of Honor belts. So
I see the only I don't see it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem. The only, I don't know, not even issue, I'm not sure what to call it, is that there is a ROH tag champs and a AEW tag champs. There is a ROH women's champ and a AEW women's champ.
Yes.
And when, I think a couple weeks ago, whenever CM Punk was doing commentary for the Dax and Cash match, he said something about, but they're our champions. And Excalibur had to jump in and say, no, they're ROH's champions. Our champions are Jurassic Express.
And
at this point, I would say our FTR, the ROH champions, are kind of overshadowing the AEW champions.
I agree. I agree with that. I don't think Jurassic Express has gotten enough TV time since they got the belts, personally.
Right. And you could probably say the same with Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, but that girl, I mean, she works, man. If you ever watch her vlog, she ain't in the same city for like more than 12 hours.
Right.
She's everywhere.
Right. I think this is a problem. It's a temporary problem. I mean, as soon as they get ROH, either a TV show or a streaming show or whatever it is they're going to get them, this problem will sort itself out. The ROH people will end up back on ROH TV, and it's not an issue.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, it's obviously contracts are probably being drawn up as we speak. I mean, Tony's not one to drag his feet on much of anything.
Right.
So it's probably going to happen sooner than later. I wouldn't be surprised if we would hear something maybe by or at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I feel like the fact that they ended both shows with ROH champions means that something is coming for ROH. They wouldn't do that if they had no plan to push them.
That's true. I mean, why take the belt off of what was her name? Deonna Purrazzo?
Right.
How do you say her name? Why take the belt off her if there's no reason to?
Right. She was an Impact. She could just defend it in Impact if they weren't going to have a show.
Exactly. It's not. I was just gonna say, it's not like back in the day when Vince would be worried about if someone would show up on another show. She literally works for another company.
Right.
She was on another show anyway with the belt. So
right.
Yeah, so that does make sense. I never even thought of that. That's a good call. And we're 3 weeks away?
Yeah.
3 weeks. I could see in the next 3 weeks at least an announcement. Just like maybe not have anything up and running in 3 or 4
but
weeks.
Coming in 2 months or something. Yeah.
Yeah, coming before fall or something.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so exciting and it's so fun again.
Yeah, definitely.
And even as when we started this, when you said even if nobody listens to it, this just brings back the memories of me and my friends in high school sitting around the lunch table or going to the library to legit just talk about what happened on Raw or Nitro the night before.
I forget who mentioned it. Someone we were talking to online you can tell Tony Khan just watched wrestling in the 90s.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's just like, I want to do that. And I have access to a lot of money. So I'm going to do that. I want it to be like wrestling in the 90s, so I'm just going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, and why not? But, very few people have that kind of forethought and, with lack of a better term, guts to just put that much money on the line and say, I'm going to do it. But now, this was just my thing. We'll end on, who's your pick for the Owen? Both sides.
The men's, I find really hard. The women's, I can look at it and I can go, it's probably Ruby or Toni Storm. The men's, I feel like I don't even know who's going to win out of Jeff and Darby Allin. I feel like it's got to be Darby.
I think Darby's going to win it all.
Yeah, he's the one who makes the most sense for me, unless the Joker's someone huge.
Right. I mean, this is like, I'm just talking about names that we know. Yeah.
Right. I feel like it's probably not Ray Phoenix. It's probably not Dax Harwood.
Yeah, they're going to get. They want FTR back together.
It's probably not Kyle O'Reilly.
Nobody cares about Kyle.
So it's Adam Cole. It's Adam Cole or Darby, I'm assuming, and Adam Cole just had title program.
Yeah.
And Darby hasn't done much really in a while. Like, he's had matches, but he hasn't really had a storyline.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he kind of put his one storyline to end with Andrade, and that really made no sense. It was just Andrade was mad that he didn't want to work for him. I mean, that was the dumbest storyline, but I was. As a tangent,
though, Andrade not understanding how two guys could just like want to hang out with each other.
Yes.
And thinking he must be paying him, because why else would they hang out?
Yeah.
That was him just not understanding at all what like friendship is.
And he kept calling him the little kid, and like Darby's like 30, like he's almost Andrade's same age. Like, it's so
Andrade was great in that.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you did, which we probably don't expect to have many the first time, but whatever. It was fun.